Well, it is time for Saturday Morning 101. And this is a series that has really caught on, ladies and gentlemen, because people are loving our recap of the Saturday Morning Essentials.
Hello, child.
It's a kid.
Which one is that?
It's the older one.
Speaking of the land of the lost, it's the kid of the lost.
Yeah, he was like, "Where am I going?" That's the time warp portal right there, and we have things coming in and out. You don't know what's going to happen during the show.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Now, before we get into Land of the Lost, we do need to acknowledge Michael Reeves, who passed away this week. Normally, I don't like to dwell on celebrity deaths, but Michael Reeves was a writer for just about every cartoon series ever on TV. He was such a big part of what we talk about on this show. Saturday mornings were his domain, and he passed away this week. So this week's show is in honor of Michael Reeves. And it is time. Buddy. We got a special guest to talk about Land of the Lost. Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition met the greatest earthquake ever known. I absolutely was obsessed with the Sid and Marty Krofft TV show, Land of the Lost. Now, over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the Sid and Marty Krofft shows. And up until now, they've been really wacky. They've been really weird, kind of psychedelic, and obviously drug-inspired. But
that's what I've heard. Is that actually a thing? I've actually heard that from several people.
So
they claim that they weren't doing drugs during the making of any of their shows.
Well, so new information from Comic-Con last year. Wesley Urey, who played Will, the older brother, he and Holly gave a panel at Comic-Con, and Will did admit that both the brothers Krofft admitted privately to him, yeah, we did inhale. So, new information.
I mean, you make that many costumes, someone's going to be high on glue.
Yeah. Well, but we get through that, and in 1974, Saturday mornings, we get Land of the Lost. And this was a complete departure from the silliness, the psychedelics. This was a family drama, a high-stakes adventure about this family, Father Marshall, Will, and Holly, his two kids. They're explorers. They're into the outdoors. They're outdoors people. They're, rafting, doing a river expedition. And all of a sudden there's this earthquake. The earth splits open and they fall 1,000 feet down this endless waterfall into the Land of the Lost.
Why is all of their shows, they're always falling? Like something, so you're falling in a hat, you're falling down a waterfall,
because it comes from Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland established the trope of falling into a different world. But unlike the other Krofft shows, this show had high stakes. It was serious. The Marshall, Will, and Holly, they had to take up refuge in a cave, learn how to live in a prehistoric land. And these are the Sleestaks, these alien lizard creatures that are constantly trying to capture them. And when I was a kid, I was obsessed with the Sleestaks. They would make this sound. And I built my own Sleestak costume for Halloween out of green felt. And I forget what I built the mask out of, but it was the first costume I ever built. And little known trivia fact, there were only ever 3 Sleestak costumes made. So there were only 3 that ever appeared at one time, but it was an entire colony. And there was one Sleestak, though, Enoch, who was good and benevolent, and he didn't want to eat the family. He wanted to help them survive and maybe even leave the land of the lost. And along the way, in the very first episode that we watched, we met Chaka and the Pakinis, the ape-like creatures that live in the land of the lost. And this is Chaka. And I don't know about anybody else, but I was again struck by how great the costume was on him. It was really well done. Made from human hair by a master wig maker. And this was the replacement for Marshall. In the 3rd season, Marshall vanished through one of the pylons and was replaced by his brother Jack. And there's a whole reason that happened. But this show relied on stop motion animation and some puppetry, but for the day, and I'm gonna see if I can bring this up. For the day, the stop motion animation was really groundbreaking. It was let me see. Here we go. Share screen. So this will not have sound, but we're going to see a little bit of this stop motion animation right here. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is all, stop motion animation with models. And I got to tell you, even today, I feel like that holds up really well, even by today's standards. And of course, that's a hand puppet, but they got away from the silly puppets and the costumes, and everything was high stakes. And, all of the dinosaurs that you see appearing are all stop motion. I mean, that's Ray Harryhausen quality. Do you guys know who Ray Harryhausen is? D?
Sounds familiar.
No.
Sarah, do you?
No.
Ray Harryhausen was the Hollywood special effects guru who perfected stop motion animation.
It's really cool though. I mean, even like you said, even like today's standards. I mean, the puppetry, obviously not today's standards, but the I can watch this.
Well, I knew you could. And, I watched this episode again this week, and I was literally on the edge of my seat because, as a kid, this T-Rex scared the crap out of me.
I can imagine.
And even watching it again, Marshall, Will, and Holly, Chaka, and the other Pakini having to escape from this T-Rex that they called Grumpy.
Grumpy.
Every day, it was a matter of survival for them. And unlike the 1990s series that Sarah remembers, this family didn't get to change clothes every day. So there was another series in 1991 that was also The Land of the Lost. And it came out in 1991, and it followed the same idea, the same pattern, but the characters were different names. It wasn't Marshall, Will, and Holly. Do you remember, Sarah, what their names were?
I do not, but Timothy Bottoms starred in that one, and he was fantastic.
Now,
why do I not remember this?
Because it only ran one season.
Okay.
But then it just kept going, though. I think it was in reruns for at least 2 or 3 years. Because I watched it a lot.
Isn't there a cartoon series, Land of the Lost or something?
No, there's not a cartoon
No, but
series.
they did make a movie later
Ferrell.
on.
Well, we're gonna get to that in a minute. There was a cartoon series, a dinosaur cartoon series called oh, that's gonna drive me crazy. Because I used to watch it all the time too.
I thought it was Land of the Lost.
No,
I guess not.
no.
I'm gonna find out.
So here's the
at that.
difference. This is the T-Rex, and does this look familiar? Because I'm pretty sure that the hand puppet that I have is that T-Rex.
Yay.
I'm pretty sure this is a Land of the Lost merchandise puppet. But here's what bothered me about this show, Sarah. 26 episodes.
Land
And
Before Time. That's
Land
what I'm
Before.
looking for.
Well, that was the cartoon movies. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Well, there was also a television series that was set in a dinosaur world, like Journey to the Center of the. It wasn't Center of the Earth. I forget what it was called, but it'll.
Oh,
come to
Molly
me.
got it. Land Before Time. Good job, Molly.
Now, unlike the original Land of the Lost, where they were on a raft and they went down 1,000 feet below, this family were just driving their car,
Yeah.
and there's an earthquake, and their car falls down into the middle of the earth. And hey, how convenient! We're living with dinosaurs, but we got a car that we can drive around.
Yes.
And apparently, this was like a Gilligan's Island kind of situation, because every episode they had new outfits on, and they found an egg. They hatched the egg, and here we get the baby from Dinosaurs with Chaka. They called her Tasha, and instead of the sleep stats, yeah, I watched it.
I'm
Sarah.
reliving my childhood right now. This is great. Oh, I remember him.
Okay, wait a minute. This guy looks familiar.
I remember
This
him.
is the villain Shrung. So instead of the Slee Stacks, instead of these guys, they had Shrung, who was a really kind of vicious, evil warlord. But here's the thing, Sarah. I watched this for you,
Thank you.
but it never felt like the original. It never felt like they were ever in any real danger. The music track underneath the 1990s series was like a Hallmark movie, like with synthesizers and harps. And every episode had this cold open where, like, the first episode I watched, they're asleep at the beginning of the episode and they're awakened by noise. And I'm like, how exciting is that for a kid to watch people wake up? I'm
He's being facetious.
Anyway, and Sarah, as much as I love you, on the 1990s Land of the Lost series, the family did not live in a cave. They lived in a tree house.
Yeah, I loved the tree house. I was like, I wanted to live in that tree house when I was a kid.
But here's the problem. When you live in a land where there are T-Rexes whose heads are the same height as a treehouse, that's not called living. That's called being bait. They built a treehouse to be bait for the T-Rexes. Anyway.
But you know, John, this is what I had growing up. I didn't have the one that you grew up with. This was all I had. This is all I knew as a kid. It was like, wow, look at this. This is cool. You know.
I will say it looked cool. It had great graphics. Jungle Girl that we see here on the cover was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I liked her a lot.
Now we know why John watched it.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it was.
Either I didn't get it up in Canada or I repressed it like a lot of my childhood trauma.
I'm going to tell you. So from a technical standpoint, and a story standpoint, an acting standpoint, all the way around, I really truly believe the 1974 series is the superior series. And not just because I'm so sentimental about it. Like the language that Chaka is speaking right now in the Pekini, they hired a linguist to create an actual language. And the actors had to learn the language. And lo and behold, as in every fandom, there is now a fan who has created an English Pekini dictionary.
Wow.
Yeah. And apparently the language is a hybrid of Russian and Mandarin Chinese.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, will
But,
you put that last comment up that Molly said?
Let's see. What did Molly say?
When did Jurassic Park come out? They should have known better
Jurassic
about the
Park
treehouse.
came out around 93.
93.
Oh, 93?
93.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. You don't get in a treehouse where a T-Rex can just, look in the window and bite the whole thing off the tree. I mean, come on, people.
Well, and John, I think a lot of times the original is naturally just going to be better. You have a lot of remakes are usually more, and not to discount any remakes, but sometimes it's more cashing in on something that did really well before. So let's remake it. Let's just do it again. Reboot
And they're
it.
trying very hard to recreate the magic, and something always fails with that.
I don't like the reboots 90% of the time. I like it when they continue. Like if it's a continuation, I'm usually good with that. But the reboots, man, they just drive me nuts. That's why I love the Jurassic World movies, because they didn't reboot it. They just continued it.
Well, here's my thing. Instead of remaking great movies, I think they should remake really bad movies that had a good premise, or good story, or good source material. Those movies are the movies that deserve to be remade because they got a bad movie to begin with.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So, yeah, but the problem with that is a lot of the movies that I like, people consider bad, and then the movies that I hate, other people consider good. So I don't know.
For example,
I don't like Blade Runner.
You know what? I'm not a fan of
That's
Blade
the look
Runner
I usually
either.
get.
But you know what? Visually, it is a masterpiece.
I'm not sure if I've ever seen this.
But I'm not a fan of Blade Runner,
Yeah,
the original one.
It's okay. It
is an important film to study from an aesthetic standpoint and from a sound design standpoint. But the story is just
boring.
It's a little bit boring. Yeah. D, it's a boring science fiction movie. You should watch it.
Go watch it right now.
Yeah. Sounds like something I won't be doing.
Actually, the sequel, Blade Runner 2049, was actually much better.
I don't know if I've ever seen Blade Runner. I really don't. I'm drawing a blank.
Actually, it would surprise me if you had.
I gotta look it up.
I didn't watch it until just a few years ago. So.
And do you agree with Willow and I that it's just? I mean, you understand why it's an
Yeah,
important movie, but it's
really
just
care.
not.
Yeah, it's important. I think there's several reasons why it's important.
Nope, never seen it.
But I didn't watch it and go, wow, I want to watch it again.
Yeah.
Okay, now seen it. Now I'm done.
Well, and so we have some comments about classics and remakes. Like Carl Witzman, he chimes in and says humans in costumes were worse than any of the stop motion. Pulls you right out of the story. See, I don't agree with that, because the thing with the Pekini were they were like early humans. So here we got them back on screen here. So they were. Oh wow!
I mean,
man.
Star Trek Next Generation didn't get good until like the second season, to be honest. So
Well, I was going to say, this actually, some of what you showed us, John, is reminding me of The Cage, which was the original pilot for Star Trek before William Shatner came on as the lead actor. And it reminds me a little bit of that.
Yeah. I can see that. I just remember, I was glued to the TV to watch Land of the Lost because I was one of those kids obsessed with dinosaurs. And I was obsessed with adventure. I was remembering the Banana Splits, which we haven't covered yet. They would show episodes, shorts of a live action cartoon called Danger Island. And Danger Island was this high adventure kind of Indiana Jones style, before Indiana Jones, high adventure. And also created by the Krofft brothers. And, this just for me felt real. And that stop motion animation is just so beautiful. And Carl Witzman says, everyone, let's see, we got a little delay here. Everyone should learn about Ray Harryhausen in school. They must not be teaching the right things.
No.
Well, I don't think schools really care about stop motion animation, Carl. Call me silly, but I think they're more concerned on reading, writing, arithmetic.
Arithmetic.
And whether or not they need to be doing it in Pragu.
That's my favorite pasta sauce, John.
Okay, so Carl Witzman says he loves how the family stands close to the cave door to see the dino, like Midwesterners out on the porch watching tornadoes. This is a real thing last night. Dee, did a tornado come through Fairview last night? Sarah, did a tornado come through Dixon
If it
last
did,
night?
I was asleep. I don't know.
No.
But we do that, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's fun.
Oh, I want to go ride with storm chasers. That's it's on my bucket list.
Oh my gosh, right?
On my bucket list. Yeah. I'm ready.
I think a lot of you are similar to us here up in Manitoba, where it's like if the tornado comes and it eats our neighbor's barn, then we'll go into the house.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
After you film it, right?
Yes, you have to film it.
All right, so I'm
Facebook
really
Live.
jealous.
For insurance purposes only.
I got
really
the video, y'all.
That's
Hey,
funny.
y'all, watch this.
Hold my bear.
Oh my
wait, I
gosh.
have to say, that reminds me. Did you guys ever see Into the Storm with Richard Armitage? Really cool movie that came out a few years ago.
Is that the one where they're in the ocean?
No, it's a tornado.
It's a tornado.
It's a tornado film, but there are two characters that are totally the hold my beer guys that go around and get in all kinds of trouble with this tornado. So anyway, it's a great film.
That's funny. Hey, this comment makes me jealous. James Scott says his son Logan is learning about stop motion animation in school, and they went to the Ray Harryhausen exhibit in Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
That's really cool.
I'm jealous that his kids are learning about stop motion in school. I feel like.
How long is this exhibit going for? Maybe I should take my 10-year-old when we go this year.
Yeah.
Maybe I should take him. Yeah.
Maybe you should.
All right. So this next comment, I'm going to take issue with.
Uh-oh.
And Dawn Doulis asks this question. And as much as I love you, Dawn, I'm going to take issue with this. She asks, if the potential was there, why not to improve it? Talking about remakes. That makes perfect sense. Then again, it makes sense. So why do it? Okay, so yeah, why would Hollywood do anything that makes sense? See, I don't think we need to like try to improve on something that was perfect the first time. It's like them talking about wanting to do a remake, and I think this has been scrapped, a remake of The Lost Boys. I mean, come on. The
Wow.
Lost Boys was a perfect movie.
Well, that's
Let's-
like The Wizard of Oz. You know, we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
And they'll never do a remake of that. Well, I can't
I mean,
say never, but
And look,
please
with,
don't.
with today's technology, they could make that movie infinitely superior in special effects,
Hmm.
but you can't recapture the magic of that cast.
Right.
And there's something charming about seeing the mechanical wings on the monkeys that are held up on strings. You know,
Mhm.
there's something charming about the.
I love that they built the whole. I just love the sets that are actually built and it's not animated. You know, I don't know. It's magical.
That's what we have in Land of the Lost. They're all physical sets.
Well,
I'm
tell
gonna have
me
to
why
stop that screen
Wizard of
'cause
Oz, that was made several years beforehand, looks so much better than this.
Well, because it was made with a Hollywood budget, not a TV budget.
Okay, that's right.
So, you
Okay.
know,
Good
yeah.
point. Okay.
And it's an argument that we're having even today with shows on Disney Plus or HBO Max, streaming shows, Netflix shows. People are comparing the TV shows to Hollywood movies, and you can't compare them because they don't have the same budgets. So the TV shows are always going to be.
It's back.
Does he want to
But
be?
he was in a different
co-host?
outfit this time.
Does he
We
want-
had outfit changes here. I'm really into the outfit changes, John. That's why I like the man version.
Did he go through a pylon? So that's something I didn't have a picture of. On Land of the Lost, they had these pylons, and Wesley Urey, who played Will, called them skylons because they were these golden obelisks or silver obelisks that would magically open up, and you could step into them and be teleported to different places. And apparently they were going to be the key to escaping the Land of the Lost, but there was a caveat. They couldn't leave through the pylons unless somebody else came through to replace them. So I don't believe that Will, Holly, and Jack by season 3 ever left. Marshall did. Marshall went through the pylons and his brother Jack replaced him. I think they were stuck there for the rest of eternity.
They're still there
I think
right
so.
now. They're still
We
there.
should go rescue them.
We should.
Unlike this abomination.
What in
God.
the world? Stop
Take
it.
me away. My eyes. My eyes.
Oh my gosh. It's like
Make it
Sharknado.
stop, please.
Yeah.
This is why we don't remake classic, perfect IPs.
This
Especially
is why
with
we
Will
can't have
Ferrell.
nice things, John.
Because
They-
of Will Ferrell.
They
He takes away all of our nice things.
Thank you. I'm glad
They-
I'm not the only one.
they took a serious, high-stakes family drama and turned it into a slapstick, vulgar comedy. And it did
As
not
Will Ferrell
work.
does. Okay, sorry.
Well, I mean, Elf was fun.
I do.
It
Talladega
depends on
Nights.
who he's teamed up with.
Yeah. I
By
agree with
himself,
Willow.
he's not very funny.
I thought Get Hard with him and Kevin Hart was pretty funny.
Oh my God.
I haven't seen that one.
That movie,
Don't watch it.
Don't.
You'll be
Sarah.
highly offended. Don't watch it.
Yeah. Listen, I was highly offended by that movie.
I mean, I kind of was too, but I've
Look,
watched it several
I
times.
I don't need to see up close shots of male genitalia.
I still feel like I wasted
Wow.
money going to see Step Brothers in theaters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But Talladega Nights is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Tried watching
Yes.
it, wasn't a fan.
Okay, old school. I will never not
Again,
like
it
Old
depends
School.
on who he's teamed up with. He wasn't the main character in that.
But isn't it hilarious that in every movie that Will Ferrell's in, he has to run streaking in his underwear down the street or through the desert? Or
I love this. Sorry.
Old School was funny. I liked Old School.
Great.
But listen,
Sorry.
Land of the Lost, not.
No.
If you're looking for Land of the Lost, please start with 1974. If you can't do 1974, the 1991 series that Sarah loves so much is a good second step. But just remember that it is the most 90s TV show ever made because they wear modern clothing. They have modern convenience. It's like Gilligan's Island with dinosaurs.
Yes. And Timothy Bottoms. I mean, we do have to recognize that he's a really talented actor. I mean, maybe that was not his best performance, but he's really talented.
You know, I had a hard time finding any clear screenshots for the 1991 series. I don't know why. It was very difficult to find anything, but
they're scrubbing it from the internet.
It could be. It could be. Now, Molly Daniels brought up another Will Ferrell movie, Blades of Glory. That's actually hilarious. With John Hader. You know,
I've seen
Napoleon
bits and pieces
Dynamite.
of that.
It's hysterical.
Again, that's a
Napoleon
wasn't a fan of Napoleon Dynamite
Yeah,
either.
I can't stand Napoleon Dynamite.
You know what,
was
guys?
that?
The first time I watched that movie, I absolutely hated it. And then I watched it again and was like, okay, I kind of get it. This is kind of funny. And then I watched it again and I like laughed the entire way through. And I'm like, what is wrong with me?
That was the exact same progression I had the first time I watched it. Yes, the first time I watched Napoleon Dynamite, I was like, I have just wasted 2 hours of my life. But then everyone was talking about how good it was, and I was like, okay, maybe I missed something, so I watched it again, and I was like,
You're like,
okay, I get
kinda
this.
it. Yeah.
Willow and I
And we
are
wonder
like,
why we feel like the world has gotten more stupid.
More stupider.
What? But the third
Vote
time,
Pedro.
the third
Ignorant.
time I watched Napoleon Dynamite, I was laughing like crazy because I knew those people in high school.
Right.
I knew those people.
Oh, John.
I went to a
You're my
really
soulmate.
small high
That's
school. So I don't know.
fantastic.
I missed out on a lot, I think.
Molly Daniels says that was me and Roger Rabbit. We can't be friends anymore, Molly Daniels. Roger Rabbit is a national treasure. And James Scott says, amen, Willow. He says he hates Will Ferrell. We don't hate anything.
Yeah, we don't hate. That's not nice.
We can dislike something. We cannot agree with it. Or we can say, this movie really, or this TV show did not connect with me. I am not the intended demographic.
Okay,
The
here's
characters.
what about Dodgeball, guys? Dodgeball.
I haven't seen
Hey,
it.
I love Dodgeball, but
Love it.
somewhere along the lines
Love
of
You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
somewhere from like 2000 on, the world just became idiotic, and that's been our entertainment.
Well, okay. So here's the thing. It's like it's like the difference between filet mignon and cotton candy. You know, a good filet can be one of the best meals of your life, but it's life sustaining. It's protein. It gives you, nutrients. Cotton candy is just empty calories. It's fluff. It's pretty. It's fun. It tastes good, but it's not good for you. Too much of it will make you sick. And nobody comes home from the circus going, they had the best cotton candy I've ever had, but it has its place. And these goofball, idiotic comedies are like cotton candy. They have their place. And not everything can be filet mignon and roasted Brussels sprouts, and asparagus.
And Pragu.
And Pragu.
Pragu.
I've got to watch Napoleon Dynamite again.
No.
I gotta introduce
Willow and
it.
I will be watching something of depth and substance.
When it becomes, I'm sorry, Dee, you're gonna have to go home soon or
Yes.
get
I
off
know.
soon.
I've got to
but-
leave. I'm getting blown up over here.
Well, here, let's go ahead and let Dee jump off. Everyone follow Dee at DBartiPhoto. I'm so glad, Dee, that you actually watched Land of the Lost and that you liked the dinosaurs. And I think you need to sit Nathan down and see if he digs it as well.